Happy Wednesday or Thursday, folks. Welcome back to another little bit of time you'll spend working on your project for this class. I'm so excited by the projects that you're coming up with and saw some really, really great things. I looked over your assignments. A really wide range of problems that people are taking on, and I'm really excited to share these with you folks. Today's focus is going to be on working on CSS, part of your website. Spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks talking about JavaScript, so I won't do an explicit lesson on that. You're welcome to refer back to your mastery coding assignment number 4 if you want some help on that. Spent Monday and Tuesday focusing on HTML, and today we're going to focus a little bit more on how to add elements of style to your page. If you needed a little reminder, what we were doing back in February and March. This is what the rubric column for CSS looks like. It asks you to make significant style changes, correctly use class and ID names to change one or multiple elements of a page, to use some advanced CSS features, and to use some elements of sectioning and columns. We learn how to create columns and layouts on pages. So today, here's your plan of attack. I'm going to give you a little introduction to the lesson right now, but I'd like everyone to watch, but I will spend some time going over most of the CSS features that we learned earlier this year. If you feel like you need a little refresher, you can edit your website to add in some CSS. You'll set the timer to work for 40 minutes today, just like you did on Monday and Tuesday. When you're done on Google Classroom, again, please explain what you got done today. That's super helpful for me to have some comments on, especially as you are running into little errors, little pieces of your code that you want somebody to look at. I'm happy to go back and take a look at it. But it helps to have comments in addition to the website itself posted for your final project. The last thing I'll ask you to do, if you're in a group, I've met with most groups over Skype already for this week, but you are going to have to record a little presentation together. For next Thursday, once you feel like you have your assignment done, um, you'll come up with a little time to give your presentation, and we can actually record it with multiple of you talking together to upload it. So let me know what time you want to meet next week in order to present your project. That's kind of your little small goal for today. If you're interested in sticking around for CSS review, here is what I'm going to go over. I'm going to talk about changing style with ID and class names. I'm going to talk about adding some different common style attributes, and in particular, give you a reminder of what box model code looks like for sectioning. And I'm also going to create rows and columns and give you some ideas of what you can use for options for advanced CSS. Everything I'm going to do today is also posted on Haiku underneath this link in case you need to look at some example code. I'd like you to work for 40 minutes before Friday at 10 a.m. If you feel good about doing this, you're welcome to go ahead and start. If not, I'm actually going to start demonstrating some of the CSS things that we've learned earlier this year. Now, you might remember what we worked on Monday was a little website to create a website about a better bagel place. I am from the East Coast. We have awesome bagels out there. I have yet to find anything here in Indy that really makes me excited about a bagel. So I figured, well, why not? We'll help figure out when to do it ourselves. I'm going to add on a little bit to the code I made the other day. And the first thing I said I was going to cover today was an ID and a class name. So we remembered last time the first way to change code was to put something directly in to the tag itself. I can do style equals background color :green if I wanted to. In CSS, I can make the exact same changes, but in a slightly different format. With red, make things interesting for today. I can put the tag that I want to change. I'll use my brackets and I'll put whatever is normally inside those quotes. So just color :red up here without any of the quotation marks. Change them so they look red. Now, when I do that to an H1 tag, it's going to change every single element of that. And now all three of my headers feature red text on them. Now, I'm not really feeling so hot about that. Maybe I really want my second two headers to be red. Or it'll be white. Let's make them white. My top one to be red. Do that using what's called an ID or class name. As a little reminder, ID names are made by going to your tag and putting ID equals whatever you want to put inside of quotes, like ID equals title. And an ID name is just going to change one element of your code. Now my top part of my code has ID name title. If I go over to my code here, instead of putting the tag name, my ID name, all I have to do is put a little hashtag inside of it, in front of it. And that's just going to change the one feature that has this ID name at the top. ID. So I'm going to put a little comment here for today. Just to remind myself that an ID name is applied to one, just my H1 over here on the top. This has the ID name title, only changes one H1 tag with this ID name. And to change an ID name, put a hashtag or pound symbol in front in CSS. This stands in contrast to a class name. Changes all things with the name applied. So maybe I want to change both of these H1s, in menu and location. They have a white text. I'll give them the class equals white text, reminding myself that anything I give this class name will be changed in the same way. So now both of these H1 tags have class equals white text. I'll go over to my CSS code, and now I'm going to put that class name I gave, white text, and apply the change, color colon white, inside of my squiggly brackets. And for a class name, instead of using a hashtag, I put a period to represent that more than one thing is going to have this name. The minute I put that period in front, everything that has class equals white text is going to get changed in the name. This change above applies to all things. Class name, white text. Change things with a class name, put a period in front of it. That's kind of our basics of how to change something with an ID or class name within this code. I mentioned I'll spend some time showing some basic style attributes that I can change. I can change things exactly the way that I would in HTML, as long as I put semicolons in between. Because it's already assuming that I'm making style changes, a reminder that CSS, the first S stands for style, cascading style sheets. I can put a semicolon in between each change. List exactly what I would, like background color colon yellow. List exactly what I want my border to be, 3px solid black. I'm going to put each one on a new line so it's a little easier to see. And now I'm starting to get a section that looks pretty because it's got a background color, it's got some text color on it, and it's got a border on the outside. Adding multiple elements helps create CSS. And I can do that by just putting a couple of these things in a row beyond each other. Now, one model that we had For sections was what we call box model code, which consisted of 4 elements. Border, which we have already, which will place a border of a certain number of pixels. But we also have 3 other features that are required for box model style code. Margin, padding, and text align. Margin, you might remember, space between the outside of the web page, the border. Padding puts space between the border and the words. And text align allows you to move words to the center. I like center for titles and sections. And if I go and I add these changes in, I'm going to get something that starts to look a little bit more like a professional website. I've got my border already. Go ahead and give this thing some space. I'm going to give it 10 pixels of margin. You'll see when it activates, put extra space between the border and the top of the page there. Now I'm going to give it some padding, 40px, which is nice and big. It puts space between my phrasing and the border, which actually starts to make this look like a more noticeable section itself. I'm going to put text align center, which puts my words in the top of the page. And now my title actually starts to look like its own individual title section on the page. I'm going to add in one more thing to make this look good. You'll notice that the outside of this has like a white space. I don't think that looks that great. I want to add a background color to the entire page, which I can do using body. And that's going to fill in that white space between the black border and the outside of the page. And start to make this look a little bit classier up here at the top. So I've given some comments on some notes and some notes about how to implement some of these basic CSS changes. I'd also like to go over how to create rows and columns, which I'm going to do in the next video since it'll take a little more time. So feel free to go ahead and watch that if you'd find it helpful. We'll talk about how to implement the row class and the column class.